And I get to follow the brilliant and remarkable Robert Hass. If I'd had more glasses of wine or no glasses of wine, I would be able to make a articulate connection between Scheherazade, to whom this book of mine is dedicated, Nelson Mandela, whose espousal of education and capacity for revolution and for love, and UPB, which seems to be a visionary enclave that's been maintaining love of knowledge and doing so under the auspices of love more than profit. But I'll let you imagine the connections between those three beyond that. I'm going to read from this book, A Book of a Thousand Eyes, which, as I said, is an homage to Scheherazade, said in her lifetime to have been the most knowledgeable person on earth. One night, I loved the night continuously with tension and watched television. Infinity often intercedes. Marxist as teammates, feminist as saints, individuals are given new names. Mine was Martha, then Gilbert, then Bobby, then Jane, then Pilar, and so on. What a line. I told Timothy to consider feminist as analogous to geologist. As a geologist knows rocks and soils, so a feminist knows power and its spoils. A feminist, I said, is like a botanist and has a certain expertise. It made sense. It got real. When you're asleep, you often think you're still awake. The perfect voice of the wind across the sill says moderately, wheeze with reason. Illness, that's no metaphor. I'm alerted. Illness is no camouflage, nor is wealth truth. The skateboarders in the ad, which consumes the gist of the show, flip. A fountain is shot, then thistles by the wayside. Thistles never oblige. But isn't midnight intermittent? Or was that just a whispered 9? A snap of blown light low against the flank of a cow. A likeness of something numberless that only I, not knowing the sound, might know. It may have been howled by a circling dog being chastised, threatened by multiples of itself in pursuit of the consolation of knowing that everything is real. It was real. I don't mean midnight, despite horizon, nipple, and fissure. I don't mean, and yet I do, I mean. A cowering animal woven real, flickers. Please pull over, Kierkegaard. Kierkegaard says knowledge precedes every act, but surely there are acts that are not preceded by knowledge. Repetitions pass at the door from summer to winter, some slowly, some quickly. Total strangers, never saw them before. Can't picture them now. Umbrellas, strange totalities, upheld, wheeling. Once there was a yellow fortress which stood on an island between the shores of a cold gray river running through an ancient city. In fact, it is there still. The walls of the fortress run straight down to the water, and in the fortress are many empty rooms. At the moment, the river is swollen and turbulent. War has caused heavy rains, and many citizens are mournfully swimming. Among them is a woman in a red blouse. She is trying to hold a canary in a bird cage at the end of a long stick above the flood. Another younger woman in a blue cap is holding onto an inner tube with one hand and attempting with the other to paddle with a pot. The river is cold and public. Soldiers manning the fortress walls have been equipped with black rubber bows that are easy to draw, but their wilted, floppy arrows droop harmlessly from the bows. The authorities are sacrificing everyone. In such a situation, sleep is impossible. Many women, as the war began, wanted to protest, and gathering together they did, pointing out the arbitrariness of battle, the inadequacy of the battle plans, the laughable positioning of the weapons, the pathetic brevity of the outcomes of all events. While demanding their right to eat, to peace, to sex, to dress, to dream, to sleep, they were forced to applaud as the warships retook the sea. A dream may be a city without citizens, but it has a river to maintain. In the end, the soldiers entered the beds of the women and turned over and over, or the women did, or the women turned the men. No one could interrupt this alone, and yet it still wasn't sleep. Constant change figures the time we sense, passing on its effect, surpassing things we've known before, since memory of many things is called experience. But what if what we call nature's picture of the many things we call, since memory we call nature's picture, surpassing things we've known before, constant change figures, experience, passing on its effect. But what if what constant change figures, since memory of many things is called the time we sense, called nature's picture. But what of what in the time we sense, surpassing things we've known before, passing on its effect, is experience. A girl goes by riding a mulish bicycle with a serenity that is just the opposite of worries die behind it. As behind it, she goes, clattering her chain, which is at her source of contemplation, service solely as a taboo. To be quite frank, she races by. The mobile house goes down on tracks to the sea in the morning. This is where technology comes in. And it is the principle of best performance when lips are still. And the zoo at the end of Little Girl Lane. And the already dead future. And the seasons by air conditioning. And houses where one cannot help but love. And another sort of smile. And not any more of either. The fingertips talk the animating contradictions. Nearer in fairy sea, nearer and farther, with barely time to pitch the tent in snow, and a bowl of peanuts, au voyeur. And last, hunting drives me to happiness. Now I am speedily proceeding, though with no sure goal. Life is forwarded. The wave of it begins, a wake of fantasies and flaws. Reacting quickly, I write this. Light, like an avian predator, travels downward. It casts seemingly causeless impressions of other things happening. Shadows, fractures, trenches, gullies, burrows, valleys, or troughs between waves torn by cormorants, the ice cracks. I don't forget that facts can sweep the imagination, the waiting that is slowly produced by everything that matters. And when everything that could be real is, then all that can come to be are fissures for sentiment to fill. All could happen in a sudden, tranquil pull. Hunting moves, but happiness is motionless. Between two moments a crash occurs, a stone sinks, mouth goes to neck. Things that I know are now my bounding sights. This is the opposite of an elegy, mourning what's found, a round of ideas discovered by their opposites. They are in sentimental circulation, and it is as such that we accomplish them. Their whole purpose is to cross, and the very notion of an intersection is scenic. There the I of which I speak is not I, but its coincidence. I is that which moves across its life. I am scratching, chewing, poking, and whispering into my surroundings. The hunting directly follows what I see. It is an exciting fact that we are sad because we weep, afraid because we run. My desires tempt the knowledge I hunt. Experience flees and makes dreams probable. Thank you.